Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make the iconic Pallet Town from the game and series and movies and all sorts of other stuff, manga, Pokemon. This is specifically Pallet Town from Fire Red and Leaf Green, which were Game Boy Advance games all the way back when. I was going to make the original version, however, the buildings were not colorized, so I used this image, which is from the games, to make our town. I like to think that they look quite similar. Here are all of the materials that you will need to make Pallet Town. Please do make sure that you have access to all those materials and enough of them as well. So now that we have all of that stuff, we can get started. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to make our house, the player's house. So this is going to start off by placing 8 white concrete extending up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I then want you to extend that 8th block to the right by 1, and then place 2 glass pane, 1, 2, then place a grey concrete and 2 more glass pane, 1, 2, place a white concrete, 2 more glass pane, 1, 2, place a grey concrete, 2 more glass pane, 1, 2, and then 2 white concrete. So, hang on, 1, 2. You can then extend that white concrete all the way down to the ground like this. Perfect. So this is actually a really good start for the house. You see, what we then want to do is, starting on this left side here, we can place a white concrete extending from the very first white concrete block that we placed. Behind and to the right of the white concrete, I want you to place 3 red terracotta. 1, 2, 3. In front of and to the right, I want you to place a row of white concrete that will extend all the way over to the right side. I want you to, on top of your row of 3 red terracotta, place another row of red terracotta, place a light blue stained glass pane on the middle block, red terracotta either side, and then a row of red terracotta directly on top. Use a birch button as a door handle, and that will be placed bottom left diagonally of the light blue glass. All the way over on the right side, where we have the row of white concrete, I want you to place an additional white concrete in the corner. Place 2 light blue stained glass pane extending left, a grey concrete, and then 2 more pane. What I now want you to do is raise up the remaining space that is around us up to the top of the door. Don't extend any blocks up above the light blue and the grey concrete, for I want you to extend every single block, all of the grey concrete and all of the glass, I want you to extend it 1 row upwards. Place white concrete on top. Place light grey concrete on top of that, extending left to right. Place a row of white concrete directly on top of that. And then, every block above us we can actually extend down, so kind of in the reverse situation as below, we want to extend down rather than up, so all the grey concrete, all the glass. And that is about as hard as your house will get. All we then have to do is make the width of the house, which is rather easy. We extend the side walls backwards by 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The only instance in which you don't do that is where the light grey concrete goes. The light grey concrete, kind of splicing through the middle of our build, wants to be extended backwards in the same place. However, the corners of the side of the house do not want to be light grey concrete. So you can imagine that if we were to just kind of build the frame of this house right here, if we use our white concrete to do so, the corners are white, however the middle row of light grey that kind of goes through the entire building is, well, I just said it, is light grey, and then the remaining areas of the house, you don't actually get to see them from the outside. there's no windows. It's all blank. You only ever get to, unless you go into the houses, the buildings themselves, you only ever get to see the front top view, or at least in the older Pokemon games. It might be that, as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about it now, say on like Sword and Shield, you don't really get to get a 3D view either. You pretty much only see these models from one angle, so this is what we will end up with once we have done it. It's actually quite a nice looking house. I really like how it looks in Minecraft. On the left side here, I want you to place a row of red concrete that just sits on the entire left side of the house, and it overhangs by one row. The red concrete then wants to be extended inwards in this pattern. We want to go right by 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1. Like this. We then want to go to the opposite side and we want to do the same thing. So, entire row of red concrete hanging off the side, extending forwards, and then left 2, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2, up 1. It will be even to the opposite side. We will then join it together like this, and then we can fill below the roof and above the windows in using the necessary materials. Now, some parts of this, you can't actually just completely fill it in, so like above these windows will want to be filled in using red concrete like this. You see, we have to extend the entire roof backwards as well, so we want to have the same effect on the back of the roof as we do the front. I'm sure that you guys will know exactly how to do this. It's the exact same strategy. You have it overhang and then you extend in by 2 and then up 1, and in by 2 and up 1, and in by 2 and up 1. Eventually you'll reach an apex, which is the tallest, that was difficult to get out. I was about to say toilet. The tallest point I don't even know. The tallest point of the house. So we can then join the roof front to back using this very nice vibrant red. You could even use the same color as the door, but I like there to be a shade difference. It makes the house more interesting to look at, and it's kind of up to you which you think looks better. You know, if you want to use a different shade of red, feel free to, but red concrete is so nice and so vibrant, and it contrasts nicely against the red terracotta that it is what I would use. So once you have connected the roof front to back, you will have completed 1/3 of the town's buildings. So this first building, as I mentioned, this is the player house where you, the player, that's you, would be living. So that is where your bedroom is. It'll be on the second floor, and your mum actually stays there the entire time as well, except for when she occasionally comes and gives you various gifts. But anyway, that's house number 1. House number 2 is actually identical to house number 1, coincidentally. Come to the bottom front right hand corner of the house. You want to find the 13th block going right. So going right of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is the 13th block. And then we want to do the same thing. We want to start off with a row of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 white concrete. And quite literally, the rival has the same house as us. So we can extend that 8th block to the right by 1. We can place 2 light blue glass. 1, 2. Grey concrete. 2 glass. Then a white concrete. 2 glass. Getting better at this. Grey concrete. It's hard to place onto paint. 2 glass. And then 2 more white concrete. Perfect. And then the white concrete can get extended down to the ground just like this. Fantastic. And that will give us this shape. And as you guys know, that's a good chunk of the house done, really, because it sets us up nicely for the rest of it. If we come down to the very first block that we ever placed, which is this one, and place a white concrete right of it, and place a red terracotta back and right of that, extend right by 2, place a row of red terracotta on top, glass on top of the middle block, red terracotta either sides, red terracotta on top, door handle, bottom left diagonally placed to the glass pane, place a row of white concrete extending forwards and to the right of the door that extends all the way to the right, extend that block that hit the wall upwards by 1, make the same windows as above by placing 2 glass pane, a grey concrete and 2 glass pane. It'll even be parallel to above. We then want to fill up to the top of the door in using white concrete. The white concrete is placed either side of the window. It doesn't go above. We then double up on the window material, so the grey and the glass placed on top of each other. Entire row of light grey concrete above. Entire row of white concrete above. Place white concrete between the windows. Place grey concrete extending down. Whoops. Place grey concrete extending down, and also light blue glass pane extending down as well. Now that we've done that, we can make the shape of the house by extending the bottom corners backwards each by 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can extend that across, and we can join it to the front of the house. We can take the corners, we can make the corners as high as the front of the house as well. And not only that, we can also take the corners that are as high as the front of the house. We can also extend the row of light grey concrete throughout the entire house too, which makes filling the rest of it in very easy. We can simply just use white concrete here instead, like this. So the entire side of the wall can be white concrete, the entire back wall can be white concrete. If you want to go into the games, if you have the games, if you possess them, through some sort of mysterious means, you know, whether you own them or whether you were to use a different method to play the games, some might say, you can find out whether there are indeed windows in the house as well. There might be, but that's going to be up to you. If you want to go to the extra level of detail, I'm making these based on the top front view that you get whilst you actually play the game. So as you can see, that is what the outside of the house will look like. That's looking pretty good. We just have to give it a roof, which is very easy. Row of red concrete on the side of the house, have it overhang by 1, and then extend into, up 1, into, up 1, into, up 1. We do that on both sides. You want to repeat that into up 1 3 times, so just like this. And then on this side here, into, up 1, into, up 1, into, up 1, join, like this. We want to add the white concrete. I want to place the white concrete in such a way that it's not going to impede the red. So I can place it here, and I can place it on the back as well. So once I know what it looks like on the front, I know what it's going to be like on the back. I want to make the frame of the roof on the back as well, which is of course the same as the front. It's the exact same thing, and we can do this in quite a quick fashion, so just like this. And then I have to dig out the white concretes here, and I just have to replace it with red. That's just something that you have to deal with. I know it's not ideal to make a row and then have to delete it, but it just makes things a little bit easier in terms of the tutorial, and it's just one row. Don't forget that row. It's quite easy to forget until you actually look at it. I mean, the cool thing about the red and the white, and I'm kind of wanting to make a Pokemon and a Pokemon Center as well. The cool thing about it is it contrasts so nicely. It's so the red and the white really does make me think of a Pokemon Center, actually. Maybe I should have used a terracotta to dull the tones a little bit, but I just like how vibrant it is. I really like it. It's again, like just the color combination makes me particularly think of a Pokemon Center, so it's quite cool. So this is what we want to have so far, ladies and gentlemen. 2 identical houses, just like that. They're essentially 12 blocks away from each other, so we placed it on the 13th block, which means there's a 12 block gap. Now that we've done that, we can move on to the next thing, which is going to be to make the Professor's Lab. Depending upon what version, this is from Leaf Green and Fire Red, ergo it is essentially Pokemon Blue, Yellow, Red, and also Green, although I never managed to play Green. This is going to be Professor Oak's lab. So from the front bottom left hand corner of the second house, which is here, we want to find the 10th block forward. So the 10th block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On top of this block, place yourself a light grey and extend it to the left by 2. 1, 2. Extend forwards by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we can get this party started. So we're also going to extend to the right by 8 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We want to place a door. The door is made out of green concrete and is placed back and to the right, and then we want to extend by 2. The door is the same as the other door, so we can actually place another row of green on top, glass on top of the middle block, green left and right, and a row of green above. Birch button, bottom left diagonally of the glass, and then grab your light grey concrete, and in front of and to the right of the door, I want you to place a row of 9 light grey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like that. So we can then extend that 9th block to the right, or backwards as it were, and then we can extend it across and join. Whip out the old end stone bricks. We don't use these very often, although after using them I really like them. I might have to make something out of this. It's actually quite a nice material. The sides and back of the lab are 5 rows high using brick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, there might be windows. I actually think in my memory there are. You only see them from the inside, so we're not going to make them. We're simply going to make what we can see. I don't want to go crazy. All I want to do is just make what we can actually see from the reference picture, which you might have actually seen at the start of the video. I'm pretty sure that I will have put that in there so that you can take a good look at what we're actually building from. Anyway, end block, end brick, 5 rows high on the left, right, and back part of the build. So, what about the rest of it? The rest of it is rather simple. Left and right of the door, we want to have, again, 5 rows of end brick. The end brick wants to be 2 rows thick left and right of the door, so 1, 2. It wants to be 2 rows thick and 5 rows high as the rest of the walls. It can join together on itself above the door, like this. We then want to place windows, so we're going to add another row of end brick on the left and right side, so we've got 2 rows thick, left and right, and in the middle. And then the 2 windows are very simple. On the left and right sides, we place 2 rows of glass extending inwards, grey concrete in between. The grey concrete is 2 rows high. We then want to use red terracotta, place it on top of the grey, and extend it left and right like this. Fill underneath the red terracotta in using glass. That's a window, nice and easy. So 2 rows of glass on the left and right, 2 rows thick, grey concrete in between, make it another row higher, red terracotta on top, and then red terracotta left and right to hit the walls. Fill it in using glass. Above the windows we want 1 row of end brick. And stone bricks. I guess I forgot the stone part, but hey, whatever. Above the windows, we want to have, on the outer parts of the windows, a glass pane on top, 2 rows of end brick, glass pane, end brick. There's little windows across the front of the lab. So window, 2 bricks, window, and then I preemptively filled that brick in as well. There we go. That is what the lab will look like. I mean, it's not 100% done, but that's all the hard part done. What will we be doing next? Well, I actually want to take a second, and I just want to grab the materials that we are going to be primarily needing for this next part. I actually missed one, which is really bad of me, but I'm sure it will be in the item list. We need stone bricks, good old stone bricks. We also will be needing light grey concrete, pink terracotta, and black concrete. We'll focus on the others in a moment. Okay, I want you to place a row of stone brick that sits all the way around the on top of the lamp. So stone brick completely on top of the side walls of the lamp. We're even going to fill the top of the roof in using end stone bricks. That's right, isn't it? End stone bricks. I've been leaving the stone out, so now it sounds weird when I call it by its proper name. So, stone bricks entirely in the middle. So, on top of the layer of the end stone bricks. This is going to be the roof. We are going to make it look a bit fancier because, number one, we're adding light grey concrete around the top of the roof. This will provide an overhang. And number two, once we have completed the overhang, there is another detail, which is kind of cool. There's a chimney. It's made out of pink terracotta and black concrete. If you come to the number one, take a bird's eye view. Come to the front bottom right hand corner of the roof, the first stone brick that we placed. Extend inwards diagonally, pink terracotta. Extend left by 3, 1, 2, 3. Up by 3, 1, 2, 3. Right by 3, down. Place black concrete in the middle, and then place pink terracotta all the way around on top. It wants to be 2 rows high. If you want, you can even extend the black concrete upwards. I guess that, yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I was going to leave it in for depth, but that is what the lab looks like. I know it looks rather close to that house, but from this view, you know, the kind of view that you would actually be kind of like playing the game if, you know, if it were a game in Minecraft, it's actually not too far off. So, anyway, those are the 3 major buildings. And when I say major buildings, the only buildings in Pallet Town. It doesn't really get too much more complicated than that. All of the rest of Pallet Town is actually scenery. It's all grass, it's all flowers, and it's trees. A little bit of water as well. So, what do we want to do? What do we need? We need lime terracotta, we need green terracotta, we need birch fence, we need birch signs, we need rose bushes, or any red flower. I'm actually a bit torn on the rose bushes. What else do we need? We need brown concrete, we will need water, and I mean, we also need to make mailboxes and stuff, but you know what? We'll just leave it at that for now. Okay, so now that we have all of that stuff, we have all 3 of our buildings done, we can now focus on the rest of the town. So, the rest of the town, we want to start off by coming all the way to the very first house that we made. So, this is the first house, and we want to come down to the bottom front right-hand corner of the house. Right of this corner, I want you to dig 2 rows to the right, fill it in using green terracotta, dig 1 row forwards, fill in with green terracotta, and then I want you to dig 8 rows forward, so towards you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I want you to fill all of that in using lime terracotta. I then want you to, once you have dug your row of 8, dig 13 rows down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and we'll count that again by placing green terracotta in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're then going to dig to the left by 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And we'll count that out once more because it's important. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18? Really? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Perfect. Okay, do not be afraid to double or triple check. It does matter in the end, it'd look a little bit weird if it was wrong. So, from this 19th block, I then want you to dig forwards, and the point of this is to be able to connect all the way back to where we first started. So we essentially want to make a rectangle. The rectangle can then be filled in using green terracotta, just like this. Perfect. And then we have to shorten some of the sides, or elongate some of the sides. So for instance, the right side wants to be 4 rows thick. We already have 1, so 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the right side, you want to dig 3 rows, and we're going to dig out these rows, and we're going to replace them with green terracotta. So we want to empty this out. 3 rows of green terracotta added makes 4 in total. On the bottom, we want to add 2 rows. So across the entire bottom, we want to add 2 additional rows. And these want to be dug out and filled in using green terracotta. The same wants to be done on the left side. On the left side here, we want to dig out 2 rows of grass, and we want to replace it with green terracotta. On the top, it's actually the same again. We want to dig out, at the top, we want to dig out 2 entire rows of grass, and then we want to replace them with green terracotta, just like this. So, we will end up with this slightly skewed rectangle. We want to fill the center of the rectangle in with rose bushes, or any red flower. In the game, it's actually bunches of flowers, but I find that it actually looks a lot better if you just completely fill this area in with flowers. So rather than just kind of like sporadic flowers, kind of like bunched together, the last of the crop, I like a nice meadow of red flowers. Rather than ones that you kind of like find left over at Tesco's, we have a nice healthy meadow. We want to then grab our birch fence. I want you to place a row of birch fence in the center of the 3 rows of green terracotta that we have at the top of the build. The birch fence is actually as wide as the house, so you can measure it as such. The birch fence then wants to have 2 signs added to it on the right side, so in front of the N2 birch fence on the right and 2 signs. I don't know what the signs say. That is another prominent feature of Pallet Town Complete. There's a big, giant, I want to say meadow of flowers, but it's not actually a meadow, it's just kind of like a nice flower bed. What we then want to do is come to the bottom front right hand corner of the rectangular shape that we made, and we want to dig 3 rows down from the bottom front right hand corner, 1, 2, 3, and we want to replace those rows with lime terracotta. We then want to dig a further 6 rows down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we want to replace those rows with brown concrete. We then want to dig 11 rows to the left of the first brown concrete block, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we want to fill that in with brown concrete. Then we want to dig forwards from the 11th block, and we want to make it equal in length to the first row of brown concrete. So it wants to be open-ended like this. You can dig the middle out and replace it with water. So this is kind of how, is it Johto? I get so confused with the names. I want to say Johto. So this is how the Johto region gets, like, brought all back together in a circle. So this would lead you onto, I think, one of the last routes into the ocean, and it kind of like loops back together. So where you begin your adventure is kind of like almost where you can end it as well. And this is going to be filled in with water. If you want it to look a little bit more, my bad, there we go. If you want it to look a little bit more vibrant, then you can add blue concrete into the base of it, which I might do later. You can also add brown concrete underneath all of the exposed brown concretes that we have here. I would almost certainly recommend adding blue concrete into it. I'll show you later what a difference it does make, but for now it's not an important thing that we have to focus on. So, now we have what I would argue to be all of the important features of Pallet Town. So, our house, the player's house, rival's house, the lab, big giant flower bed to the left, kind of making it a square. We have one of the last routes that we will ever tackle, and the very first route will actually be behind the 2 houses, which is built into what we're going to be doing next. That is a huge amount done. What we now have to do is we have to make all of the paths and the green grass and stuff around our build. So I'm actually going to be starting at the lab because there is a little more detail that we do have to add. I'm going to add a row of green terracotta that sits in front of the lab underneath the windows. It is not going to disturb the entranceway like this. So a row of green terracotta in front of the left and right windows. I want a row of green terracotta that extends right out to the right of the lab. It's going to sit around the side of the lab, just 1 row of green, and we're also going to have 1 row of green that sits at the back of the lab. So primarily on the front, we have 1 row of green, on the right 1 row of green, and on the back 1 row of green. On the side, the left side, we have 3 rows of green, so 1, 2, 3 like this. So this is just how it is. If you'll remember the reference picture, you can even go back to it if you like. There's just big random patches of darker grass for some reason. I don't know what that might be, but that's what we want to have with the green. Now this is quite useful because we want to have 3 entire rows in front of the lab. We want to have 3 entire rows of lime terracotta. We're not going to be filling it in, but just as a representation, we want to have 3 rows of lime terracotta directly in front of the lab. So that'd be 1, 2, 3. We then parallel equal to the 3 rows of lime, we want to have 1, 2, 3 rows of green terracotta in front of the 3 rows of lime. So, exactly the same, just using green instead of lime. We want to have the exact same thing. Now, the green terracotta is a little bit more relevant. It's a little bit more important. You see, I want you to grab the birch fence. On the last row of 3 green terracotta, I want you to use your birch fence, and I want you to place a row of birch fence that starts equal to the left side of the lab. It goes all the way over to the right, and it finishes where the right window finishes. So if you can see, that's the sort of length that we want to have with the fence. We want to have 2 signs. The first one is where the door handle is, and the second one is to the right. I imagine that that points out that it is Professor Oak's lab. Perfect. This is what we want to have so far. Next, we want to add a layer of green around the rival's house. So this is the rival's house. First of all, we just want to add the single row of green terracotta that sits underneath the windows on the left and right hand sides. We don't want to impede the door space like this. As a matter of fact, I've just noticed that on the original version, we actually want to leave a gap. Left and right of the door actually wants to be lime, and then the rest of it is green. On the right side, we can extend this green to the right by 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can extend it by 4 rows, and it can extend back, and it can go around the back of the house in a single row. The side of the house, the left side, is 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me just fill all around the side of the house in. Let me add all of the outer layer of green, and then let me come all the way here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll be going over this again because it's important. It does make it look far more realistic if we get this right. So, in front of the house, 1 row, just 1 row of green. Make sure that it starts, leave a gap between the left and right side of the door. On the left side of the house, 5 rows of green. On the right side of the house, 4 rows of green. On the back of the house, 1 row of green. That's all you want to do, and those will ultimately be filled in using green terracotta. Our house, the player's house. We're going to start off this a similar sort of way. So green terracotta, left and right of the door. I've already made a mistake. You want to leave a gap of 1 between the door. So where the first white concrete is, that's not where we want to start. We want to start on the second. We want to dig to the right, and we want an entire row of green terracotta just underneath the right side of the house here. On the right side of the player house, we only want 2 rows of green terracotta. And we also want to extend backwards, and we want to have a row of green terracotta out of the back of the house. So on the right, 2 rows of green terracotta, around the back 1 row of green. On the left side, we want to have 5 rows of terracotta hanging over the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like this. Green terracotta, 5 rows to the left. Perfect. So we will end up with this. So, one last little detail that we have to add to each house before we start doing a lot of greenery, a little bit of terraforming. Each house has a mailbox, a post box. It's made out of an end rod, block of iron, birch trapdoor, weighted pressure plate. The post box is even in line with the white concrete of the house. You leave a gap of 2, 1, 2 on this third block, which will be the middle of the row of 5, end rod on top of that middle block, block of iron on top, weighted pressure plate on top, birch trapdoor in front, boom, mailbox. Easy as that. Come to the opposite house, the white concrete we have here, leave a gap of 2, third block, place an end rod, block of iron on top, weighted pressure plate on top of that, birch trapdoor. There we go. Perfect. So the only remaining details that we have to add is we have to figure out the paths going around Pallet Town, and we have to add the tree line. So, to make that, we only need a few materials. Lime terracotta, green terracotta, oak wood, oak leaves. That is pretty much it. So, how do we want to do this? Let's do all of the lime area first. So the lime area is where you're meant to walk. It's kind of like the pathway. We'll start on the left side. So left of the house, left of the player house, we want to have 2 rows of lime terracotta that sit left of the player house. Just like this, right? So on the entire left, 2 rows of lime terracotta. Those 2 rows of lime terracotta actually want to extend all the way down. They will sit even and level with the flower bed that we've made, and we will have 3 rows of lime terracotta, 1, 2, 3, that we are able to walk around the flower bed. So I'm going to fill this in and I'm going to show it you, because I realize maybe just explaining in words isn't enough. I want to make sure that you understand. So on the left side of the house there, you can see that we have 2 rows of lime terracotta. It extends all the way down, which branches out into 4 rows due to the disparity between the green terracotta of the flower bed and the player house, and it extends all the way forwards into 3 rows of lime terracotta in front of the flower bed. Okay, we want to have 3 rows of lime terracotta, 1, 2, 3, in front of the fence area that we made earlier. So 3 rows of lime terracotta in front of the fence area that we made earlier. This is in front of the lab. So I'm just going to dig all this out and I'm going to make it lime just like this. Now the cool part about that is that that path extends left, connects to the water, and that actually helps us to make a central path. There will be a central path of lime terracotta that extends through the entire center of the town. So if you can imagine it, you can see hopefully everywhere that isn't green terracotta is going to be lime. That's the reason that we're making this. Out of the right side of the lab, we want to have 2 entire rows of lime, so 1 and 2. So 2 rows of lime. This lime is going to extend all the way backwards towards the back of the town. It's going to join to the green terracotta that we placed earlier. So once again, now that you know all the grass is going to be ripped up and replaced with, except for the areas that are designated to be green, they're all going to be lime. So now you can see that the right side, we have 2 rows of lime that extends out, and once again, due to the disparity between the lab and the rival house, we have 3 rows with the rival house. Okay, now that we've done that, there are 7 rows of lime to be placed at the back of Pallet Town. So extending out from the back of the green terracotta, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of lime. So this is going to extend all the way across, and it's going to join all the way to where we placed the lime terracotta earlier, hanging off the left side of the building. I'm just going to place grass in there. So 7 entire rows covering the width of the back of Pallet Town, just like that. Perfect. What else is there back here? Well, there's a way to get to Route 1. Route 1 is the first route that you're able to go to that has Pokemon and trainers, and that's actually where you start the game off. If you guys remember, in most games, like, you'll venture out into the grass, oh, Professor Oak comes along, you encounter a Pokemon, all is said and done. Well, where the green terracotta starts from the rival house, we want to have a row of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that is pretty much equal to the row of 5 green terracotta that we have there. We want a row of 5 lime terracotta extending out of the back of the town. So that can be, I think it's going to be 3 rows fixed. So 1, 2, 3. So this pretty much just marks out where one would leave the town originally. Okay. What else do we want to have? We need a few more areas of green terracotta. They're quite easy to add though. We basically take the shape that we made, the bottom right hand corner of the green terracotta here, the lime terracotta I should say. We want to fill in the space that is left in between the water area that we've made that takes us onto Route, I don't know what is it, Route 50? Is that too high? I don't know off the top of my head. And we also want to dig out the area between the water on the left side, and we want to place green terracotta here in this corner, so you can see how we're turning it all into one big solid shape. Okay, here's where things are wrapping up. On the left side, we want one entire row of green terracotta on the left side, just like this. We want 1 entire row of green terracotta on the back. So that extends all the way across the back, through Route 1 to the back. We won 2 rows of... actually, is it 2 rows? Or is it 3 rows? No, 2 rows of green on the side. So 2 rows of green terracotta on the right side, and then we can just join all the way back here. So let me fill all of that in with green terracotta, and then we can overlook what we've done. On the entire right side, 2 rows of green. On the back, 1 row of green. On the left side, 1 row of green, and there needs to be none on the front because I haven't added bushes. Although you can, if you want to make it more realistic, it's just that to be able to see it properly, like I didn't want to completely surround it with bushes. So this pretty much lays out the entire of Pallet Town. All we've got to do now is fill all that in with grass and make the tree line. The tree line is important because it stops you wandering out and around. So let me show you how to make the tree line. The tree line is going to sit on the outside of the green terracotta on the left side and the right side of the town. So the tree line starts here. Left of the green terracotta at the bottom right hand corner, we want to place an oak wood. Leave a gap of... is it a gap of 2 or is it a gap of 3? Leave a gap of 2. 1, 2, oak. 2, oak. Gap of 2, oak. Gap of 2, oak. It's fitting that we're using oak actually because of Professor Oak. Gap of 2, oak. So on and so forth until you extend all the way to the back. So just keep leaving gaps of 2 and eventually it will actually line up with your green terracotta. That's perfect. We want to do the same thing on the opposite side. So you can even start on the opposite end as we did on the other side. So gaps of 2 with oak wood. You don't need more than that oak. That is all you will need, due to the fact that the trees are primarily made out of leaves rather than anything else. Boom, there we go. We also want to have trees along the back. So the trees along the back are very simple. They're actually going to sit on top of the green, and we're going to leave gaps of 2 once again. So on the back, this is where it's different. The trees sit on top of the green terracotta, evenly spaced 2 rows apart, the same as they are on the sides. And it basically just forms like a barrier. And I'll show you how to make the trees really, really quickly. And they look quite good. I mean, the trees aren't that detailed in the game. So this is how you can make the trees, right? The trees are this. At their base, you want to have 3 rows of leaves on top of each oak wood, okay? 3 rows of leaves. You then want to extend the bottom 2 oak leaves outwards in every direction. Very easy, right? Easy enough. If you want to expedite the process, make it faster, I would recommend placing 2 sweeping rows of oak leaves across the entire oak wood area. Place 2 entire rows of leaves. Then space out oak leaves 2 rows apart on top of the oak wood area. Easy. You can actually just simply line them up with the oak wood down below. It's much faster. And then you can just, where you have marked out on top of the trees or where the oak wood is just down below, you will extend the 2 middle blocks out. All of the trees connect together naturally anyway because they are supposed to be a physical barrier. It's what stops you going from where you like in the game, and you do that on both sides. That's it. That's how easy the trees are. I would do that. I would use that method if it were me, rather than making each tree individually. But now you know what the trees are supposed to look like, right? So it's 3 on top, and I'll just do it again. So there we go, whole row of trees. But 1, 2, 3 on top, and then you extend the bottom 2 blocks outwards in every direction. It's as easy as that. That's all you've got to do. Whew. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done all the hard part. We just have some mass filling in to do. All we got to do, inside the green terracotta areas, fill it in with green terracotta. Inside everywhere else, just fill in the green terracotta areas, and then everywhere else fill in with lime. Add all the trees. I'm going to add some blue to the bottom of the pool, and I'm going to extend probably a little bit of Route 1 outwards. And then that will be that. I might even fill the backs of some of the windows in with, say, light blue just to make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit more vibrant. I'm going to do all of those things off recording because that will take a long time. It's a lot of digging, and I'll be back once it's done. Back in a moment. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is Pallet Town 100% fully completed. As you can see, we have torn up all of the grass and we have replaced it with lime terracotta. We have destroyed all of the areas which we designated to be green terracotta and we have filled them in with it. I have also done all of the leaves of the trees and all of the trees themselves around Pallet Town, so we have those physical boundaries. And you might be able to notice, since I don't plan on using these houses, I have added light blue to the backdrops of the windows to make them a little bit more vibrant and stand out. And I also added light blue to the pool of water as well, and I think that that has made a nice difference. And that's it. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please do remember to hit that like button, as it really helps me in the channel out very much. If you're new around here, please do consider subscribing and clicking the little bell next to the subscription button. That'll ensure that you get all my videos sent directly to your sub box. And if you do want to make anything else by me, check out the card system description below in the top of the comment section for more. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.